Hey, what's going on? It is Dharma Guy here at Dharma Time on a wonderful Tuesday. It's a little warm for me, but still, it's a wonderful Tuesday. It's better than it could be. I'm also here with Mr. Dope Doctor himself.
Warm? I put a jacket on here with you because you froze the place up.
That's because you're old.
Yeah.
I have yet to reach that age yet. I'm hoping to reach there. So I can
Did you say reset?
Reach that age.
I thought you said reset age.
I'm hoping to get to that age where I'm getting cold. That would be so amazing. I'm sure my family would appreciate it as well.
It's coming.
I hope so. Anyways, yes, it's warm to me. I prefer the days where it's like 60 degrees outside and it's what do they call that? Balmy, I think is what they call that. Anyways, let's go ahead and do some house cleaning here real quick because I'm excited about today's topic. I think there's going to be a lot of good stuff talked about. So for the sponsorship, without them, this wouldn't be possible. So we want to say thank you to Retreat Premier Addiction Treatment Centers. Also want to say thank you to Journey Pure. And then I want to say thank you to, actually, I'm going to reverse this a little bit.
Uh-oh.
We got the Now Matters More Foundation. I'm going to do them first, and there's a reason for that. I'm going to do the Now Matters More Foundation. They're a big part of what we do here. Obviously, I'm the president. He's the founder. You can check us out at nowmattersmore.org and see what we're all about, as well as donate to our cause. Trust me, it's a good cause. You know somebody, I guarantee you. However, we have our next sponsor is Orange County. Orange County Drug-Free Coalition, to be exact, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But a representative from them, Carol Burkett, which is an amazing person here in Orlando who does so many good things for the community and for our foundation, just for everything. It's literally one of those people that knows everything, knows everybody, and is so humble, but has every reason to not be humble, I guess. She is going to be actually interviewed on Recovery Radio, which comes up directly after this show. So please, by all means, stay tuned and check out her interview. And I haven't heard it yet myself.
It was really good.
But I heard it was a good one. You got Steve Monterano, which is a true professional, great interviewer. But then you also got Carol Burkett, which is just an all-star in her own right. And so I'm interested in hearing that. I will check that one out myself. So
right. You should.
You know what,
she's just a pro, bro.
She's so good.
I mean, she's just really good.
She's so good
at making sure she covers all the bases. She doesn't miss a thing.
Well, yeah. What I like about her is she's so always on top of things. Like in all of our meetings that we have, the treatment meetings,
right.
It's always like somebody will ask for something, boom, it's done. Yeah. Like it'll be in your email box before that hour's up, kind of a thing. So, anyways, all right. So today, I'm fired up, man.
I'm glad you are.
I'm fired up.
I'm sorry, I've been a little distracted this morning helping
okay.
people, but
that's all right.
You have all my attention now.
Well, thank you. Was that a compliment? So, art of the compliment, actually. This is what we're talking about today. And first, I have to preface this by saying why I came across this topic, right? Mm-hmm. So, as you know, I'm always trying to find things that we could talk about, things that are happening in the world today, which I want to say, I guess there was a shooting actually a couple days ago or yesterday. There was a shooting at...
every day.
Yeah. What was it? Waffle House, I think there was a shooting. And then also in Canada, there was a van that ran into a bunch of people.
I don't know how that didn't become a shooting.
Yeah. Well,
did you watch that?
I did not. I saw bits and pieces. I didn't get a chance to really sit down.
By the way, that would never happen in the United States. I don't want to sidetrack you too much, but that guy was aiming a gun right at the cops.
Oh,
there were people just walking behind him just casually.
Wow.
And not one police officer shot the person. I don't know how you can aim gun at cops.
Wow.
Threaten to shoot him, and then they're like, no, sir, please put the gun down.
I'm going to have to go check that out now.
He would have been dead in the United States.
Wow. Okay. Anyways, I digress. So.
No, I digress. I apologize.
By
the way, is that a new shirt?
It is, actually.
It looks really good on you.
Somewhat new, I guess.
I just want to say it looks really good on you.
Thank you, man. Was that a
right? And it matches your hat. I really like the way it looks.
Yeah. We have the same hats.
And, and it matches your beard.
Yeah. Salt and pepper going on there, bro. I'm not old enough to get the temperature, but I'm old enough to get that. And actually, I like it. I'm not one of those guys that's going to try to get rid of it. I've earned every last one of these gray pieces here.
Right. I'm just going to keep complimenting you throughout the whole show.
Yeah, just make sure they're all physical.
Just sidetrack.
But no, the reason why I decided to have this topic was trying to find, topics in the news and whatnot. But I didn't see anything in the news that we haven't already kind of covered in some sort of a way. Yeah. But Mrs. America, remember she was on the couch live with us.
Well, as if there's only one. Renee.
Well, yeah.
One of the Mrs. America. She's not the current reigning Mrs. America.
But anyways, she's not the star of this quote. That's why. It was her daughter, Leanne.
Uh-huh.
or Lexianne, excuse me.
Lexianne.
So I became friends with her on Facebook, through her mom or whatever, and they all liked what we were doing. And she posted something about compliments.
Right.
She posted this big, long kind of a listing of a bunch of different compliments that aren't physically related, like weren't physically based or looks based and things of that nature.
They were characteristics or
yeah,
part of your character.
And I thought it was interesting because between that and the absurd amount of people who are on my Facebook that are posting, problems, I guess, I'll put it that way, with gentlemen sending them pictures that they would choose not to get in their DMs, their direct messages for those of you who don't use social media. But so getting the kind of compliments they're not wanting, getting the interactions that they're not looking for, her posting that kind of made me think, there's a spiritual component to this one. And so I figured it'd be a good topic to talk about, the art of the compliment, how to give compliments that don't make you come off creepy, how to receive compliments, because I think that's another big one that some people don't know how to take compliments very well. But and it just so happens to our other guest on the Couch Live, Jessica Landon, she actually did a really funny video about what it's like to be in a woman's DM, and so I'm sure I'll be getting a comment from her later on about how similar they are and how funny it was. So first, let me say from a spiritual perspective, right? I obviously, for those of you who don't know, it is Dharma Time, so I come from the philosophy of Buddhism. But in our philosophy, we have the Four Truths and the Eightfold Path. That is essentially the foundation in which everything else is built, regardless of which version of Buddhism you look into. They all kind of have that in common. And the reason why I bring that up is because the third part of the Eightfold Path is right speech. And right speech, essentially, in a nutshell, says whatever you communicate to somebody, whether it be written, verbal, social media, it doesn't matter. It should be both truthful and useful.
Okay.
Truthful meaning, remembering that truth is 360. So my truth might not necessarily be your truth. So I have to understand that your truth could be different. And useful. Is it kind? Is it going to help the situation? Is it useful? And it has to be both of those. So it can't be one or the other. It has to be both. And I think that kind of fits right in here when it comes to the art of the compliment. Because I think that sometimes that can kind of get lost a little bit when we're trying to compliment somebody in the whole truthful, useful debate, if you will. Let's define the issue here real quick. Because I think
wait a minute. So before you go too far, so since you said it has to be truthful, so are you talking about when people compliment somebody but they're just like not really being honest?
Sure, why not?
Like, oh, you look lovely today, but like they really aren't?
Yeah, I would agree
because
with
you
that.
can get suckered into a compliment, and you better answer it correctly. Like if my wife is fishing for a compliment, I mean, often I'm very honest. So if you ask me, you're gonna get the honesty. So sometimes I wish I wasn't asked because sometimes you just see an imperfection that you have to mention if they asked you.
That's where the useful part
if it exists.
That's the useful part.
All right, we'll
it's got to
explain
be
that
truthful
then.
and useful.
Okay.
So if my wife asks me if a shirt looks good on her, and I don't necessarily think it does, it's not useful for me to say, no, that shirt looks horrible on you.
Right.
Even though in my mind it might be true. Instead, what I'll say is, I mean, it looks okay, but I think you have other shirts that look better. Okay. And there you go. And then maybe I give her an opportunity, I like that one shirt that you wear. And then it's an opportunity to give her my critique while at the same token, not just being an ass, essentially.
Did you just call and say that I'm being an ass when I'm doing it?
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
We'd have to ask her what she thinks.
Yeah, I think sometimes she thinks I'm being an ass when I'm just saying, when I go like this, it's all right.
That's code for I don't like it.
Yeah, it is.
But let's do that though. Let's define the issue that we're talking about here, right? And so it's a multifaceted issue, I think. But I think we're kind of in agreement on it, and that is the compliments that are out there today. They seem to be very, very superficial, right? Very looks based. Like, hey, you look pretty today.
Right.
Hey, that dress looks good on you.
Right.
Or from a woman to a man, like, hey, he's very handsome. Or I like your haircut. Like, it seems like a society, we're very, very quick to notice the physical appearance of somebody.
Right.
We're very quick to notice a haircut, a new shirt, as you just noticed a new shirt or whatever. But it doesn't seem like we're very quick to notice
because it just looks really good on you.
Thank you.
I mean, your arms look really big in there. You look really buff in that shirt.
Yeah, well, it's gray. So, but anyways, and the other half of it, I would say, for the art of the compliment that needs to be discussed, and that's the creepiness, right? So people come off creepy. Somebody in your, I guess they call it sliding in your DM, and that is, hey, beautiful, or hey, sexy, how you doing today? Those kinds of things.
Wait a minute. Do people really say, hey, beautiful, or hey, sexy?
Yes.
Well, the way you said it, it sounds like 1973.
Yes. Oh, I was shocked. I'm gonna say,
you get those?
No, I don't personally get them anymore.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't really.
Wait, anymore? You mean you got people saying?
Yeah, back back in my in shape days and stuff, when I was out there and I was partying a little bit more and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess I gave off the vibe that it was okay, so I would get some of those types of messages.
Okay.
But now that because of the medical stuff I'm not in shape as I was, and I'm married, I don't typically get those as much. But as a man,
I'm gonna start sending them to you.
As a man, I only get but so many. Women, oh my gosh, wow.
See, my wife doesn't have social media, so I don't get any of that.
Be thankful for
that. But
I
hear that, well, I'm worried because I have daughters, so
I guarantee you, your daughters at the age that they are, I promise you, they've gotten unwanted
junk pics.
Junk pics.
You think they're getting junk pics? My daughters.
I guarantee you, they've gotten at least one or two. They had to have. Just law of averages, man.
It's just starting to piss me
off. It's insane, dude. How? Because those of you who follow me on social media know my wife has gotten a couple, and I've answered it because there's this part of Facebook Messenger who can actually video call people, and so she's gotten a couple video calls there while I'm with her, and I usually like to take that as an opportunity to answer.
Right.
So the person will be calling her, but when I answer the phone, he's looking at me, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" and I'll have a conversation with him. And one guy just completely hung up immediately and like blocked everything. Another guy actually had like a conversation with him. He kept saying, he kept asking for her. I was like, "No, show me your butt, man." Like I just kept messing with him. Yeah, he was from some other country though.
Weird.
Very interesting, but for better or worse, I have a lot of women on my Facebook, and they post quite frequently, and I have my own personal opinions about this, by the way, but they'll post and call out people, like somebody who sends them junk pics or, good morning beautiful or hey sexy or whatever, and they'll post screenshots of those conversations to call people out.
Oh, yeah. Wow, really?
Yeah, I have my own opinions on that matter, but we'll get to that hopefully.
Oh, man.
But my point being, so the art of the compliment, I think it's a multifaceted issue.
Okay.
On one hand, we have for whatever reason in society now, it seems like our go-to is always a physical compliment.
Right.
And then the other half of that is knowing when and what to say to the right people. So I think those are the issues we're going to try to cover today.
Okay.
So that would be defining the issue, I guess.
By the way, the only DMs I seem to get are the, hey.
I need help.
No. I get those too. The real ones I get,
yeah, I get
which is good. But I'm talking about the ones that I think are fake or phony, or someone's doing that. They start off with, hey.
Oh, yeah, I've gotten those.
They just start off with, hey.
I've gotten the fake ones.
So instead of getting the junk pics, I get a bunch of hey.
Yeah, I've gotten the fake ones, the ones that are like a bot, I think, where it's like, I like to play with them to see how far they'll go.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, hey, and I'll like, hey, and then they'll say something about, I don't know, ask me a question, and I'm always like, I don't know, I'm scared.
Yeah.
I just I kind of see how long they'll keep the conversation going.
Right.
But I think I can do that because I get one every now and then.
Yeah.
I think there's women out there who get probably like 100 a day.
I have one that this girl actually asked me for money, and I said, no, I'm not that guy. That's but I'm sure you'll find someone else that'll give it to you, give you money.
Asking.
And she still likes all my stuff. She's still liking all my stuff, and I never like any of hers. And she wants money. She was upfront about it.
That's crazy to me. So I guess, let's talk, I guess, on why do you think we have this reaction, if you will, this circumstance?
All right.
Because we're not going to label it good or bad just yet. But why do you think it's in place? So why do you think that the go-to is what some would call superficial compliments? Why do you think people are complimenting only on looks and appearances?
Well, I think first of all, I think it's just easy. I think that we lack a lot of connection with people.
Yeah.
And one of the easiest ways to not really connect with people is small talk. And small talk is typically based on, what do you do for a living? This is what I do.
How's the weather?
Things that are really easy to see. So if you are wearing something really cool, or if I can compliment what you're wearing, that makes it real easy to kind of do that initial engagement. So that's how you typically will start off a conversation based on what you're wearing or something significant about you, or if it's obvious that you paid attention to how you looked that day, it makes it real easy to say, wow, you look really nice today. But it's almost like an icebreaker, or like just flat. I don't have to connect with you to do it.
It happens all the time. So do you think it still is an icebreaker?
I still think it's an icebreaker. Yeah, I think it's an when people say, "Hey, Louis, you clean up well," like because I'll wear a suit to somebody and say, "Oh, you clean up well."
I think
it's
like a backhanded compliment, right?
Yeah, what they're really saying is that sometimes you look like you don't have a job.
You didn't put any effort into it.
and today you put effort into it. I don't look at it as negative. I look at that like they're saying I look good that day.
Right.
And that's fine. I think it also depends how you take it. I think it depends on where you're at emotionally as well.
Sure.
And what you need. For instance, my wife requires physical compliments. She wants me to make sure that I say she looks sexy, that she looks pretty. Now I'm not.
Well, and I think that's a very important difference.
Okay.
Too is I think there's also a difference on the way you compliment like a spouse than you would a random person.
Right.
I think there's a huge difference.
So
there.
Today, are we talking about all compliments, including those to our spouse, or to other people? Because I'm not going around telling other people they look sexy.
I think we should cover.
Like that's a no-no, by the way.
Well, I think we're. Exactly.
I've been married almost 25 years.
Yeah.
For anyone out there that wants to be married 25 years,
don't go
that's
around,
a no-no.
Yeah. No, but I think that's important to distinguish because I do believe that first off, I think that with strangers, I do believe that sometimes men and women have a hard time knowing how to compliment somebody without going to just the physical aspect of things. But I also do believe that when it comes to communication styles, I think that is a huge problem sometimes in a relationship, even where you don't know how to make the other one feel appreciated or make the other one feel pretty, or you sometimes forget how important that is. Like it's easy to take your spouse for granted and think that they know I think they're sexy, even though you haven't told them in 8 months.
Right.
They just know. Well, how do they know? And even if they know, it's nice to hear.
I think it's a guy thing to think that. Well, come on, you know how you look.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
and they don't.
Since we don't really fish for compliments typically as men.
Right.
It's hard for us to know.
Right.
First of all, I'm not a big fan of you fishing, but since I know how important it is to you, all right, I'm going to give it to you. But I'm not a fan of it, so somewhere in the way I say it probably doesn't look as genuine as if I came out with it all on my own. And
Sure.
I think one of the things I know that I need to work on is it needs to come out all on my own, like it used to in those early years where she could just change a little tiny thing about her hair and I knew it.
Right.
Any little change she did, I knew it.
And it's important to know that women love that.
25 years later, I don't notice as much. And boy, let me tell you something. If she got her hair did that day,
you better tell her.
And I didn't tell her within the first 30 seconds. No, 30 seconds.
You better notice.
So again, it depends on where the person is coming from. Now
Sure.
that she's older, she's 48 years old like me, those things become more important.
Right.
So now how she looks is a hell of a lot more important today than it was when she was 20.
Right. Well, I think to kind of piggyback off of that, I have my own perspectives on some of this as to why I think that it's interesting, because I think that society kind of, that's how we're set up right now with social media. Everything's so visual. Everything's so kind of fishing for likes,
which is good because I'm a visual person, so I like it. And visual's important, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's not lie about it.
No, but I think that our focus a lot of times is fishing for likes. And that's how we kind of determine our self-worth a lot of times, is how many likes they get, kind of a thing.
Well, that's not good.
But also, I think that, and this is just the people I've interacted with, I think that oftentimes people are afraid of being vulnerable enough to give a genuine compliment. I really do. I think there's a lot of people out there who are afraid of opening themselves up to acknowledge or to display that they've noticed something unique about that individual.
Are you saying that a look thing or a characteristic thing like that is not genuine? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think they could be genuine.
Oh,
but
okay.
I think it's hard to read the intent sometimes. Like, for instance, and
like if they're being creepy.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is it takes a certain amount of self-confidence, I guess,
right.
Self-awareness, to be able to see a characteristic trait in somebody else that you like, and to be able to tell that person that. I think it's easy to underestimate how much confidence that takes to be able to tell another human being, hey man, I really like how smart you are, or how funny you are, or I think it takes a certain amount of confidence to be able to do that.
So I'm gonna take one of the examples you already used. So you brought up Jessica Landon, who,
yes.
So we did meet that person on social media.
Yes.
And so when I complimented her being very funny and unique in her, and she really enjoyed that compliment, you could tell.
I don't think a lot of people do that.
Right. So even though she is an attractive person as well, the thing that I noticed the most was
humor.
she was very funny and engaging
and you mentioned
and easy to watch.
But you
like
mentioned
that
it. You're
because
aware
it's
of it
funny.
because you mentioned it. Then you said, "Hey, I don't think enough people can give credit where credit's due."
Right.
And I think that's because.
So that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we get we as people can get, if we're not centered enough spiritually, if we're not centered enough, I think that it's easy to get so caught up in our own kind of stuff that we forget to give somebody a genuine compliment about something that we would like to emulate, maybe, something we want in ourselves. And so I think that's part of it. I think that it's easier, as you pointed out, to just be like, "Oh, you're really pretty," because it doesn't take much to do that. There's nothing unique there. It's something they've heard probably 1,000 times in their life, because if they're pretty, trust me, they've heard it before. But to say somebody's funny, I think that if you don't feel centered enough in yourself, you can feel very self-conscious about your own humor level.
Right.
And so to point that out to somebody else, sometimes you could feel less than.
Right.
And I think that's what it is I think that there's a lot of people who don't spend a lot of time developing themselves spiritually inside. And so it's hard to acknowledge that in other people.
And when you feel ugly, if you have some self-esteem issues that you feel ugly or fat, or if there's some insecurity there, sometimes that same compliment is just annoying.
Yeah.
You don't really believe it.
Yeah.
Or you think because it's superficial, you're like, yeah, but.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that...
or it can be superficial, I should say.
Sure. But I think that has a lot to do with it. I think that because, it's not cool to be spiritually grown, I guess, nowadays. I mean, everybody thinks they're a philosopher because they post a meme up,
A quote.
Yeah, some sort of quote or a meme or, something. Even though that same person 4 days later would be posting something completely opposite of that. And like, yeah, that's a little weird there.
Judgy.
I don't think it's very, promoted these days to like have some personal growth. And so I think that holds us back a little bit. I really do. And I think that's part of the reason why we rely on superficial kind of looks-based compliments, excuse me. And I personally, I know we talked about it prior to going on air, which will lead us to the next one, is that a problem?
Well, I'm getting the hint that you're saying it's a problem. That's what I'm getting the hint here. Am I wrong?
I think that it can be a problem.
Okay.
I think that if it's not balanced correctly, it can be a problem.
First of all, if you're a married person and complimenting someone else's looks, that's what could be a problem.
Yeah, that's a big no-no.
So
that's going to be later on in our little.
But all right, so let me ask you something. So another woman complimenting another woman.
Okay.
Problem? Dana gets it all the time. I'm around her all the time. Women compliment Dana all the time. That's a problem?
No, I think that's fine.
What
I'm saying is,
where do you put that in that spectrum of what you're talking about?
That's why I said balance.
Because she lost a lot of weight recently. She's
Right.
looking really good.
Sure.
I didn't even notice she had gained the weight until I hold her now.
Right.
And that, when you hold her, you can tell, well, God, man, there's like half of you. and I didn't even know there was a problem. You know what I mean? Because you slowly got there, right?
Well, what I'm getting at is the balance. And I think that's what we don't have. Right now, the scales have been tipped.
Right.
To where it's almost exclusively
Just
physical comments, right? Compliments. And we'll take your wife then for a minute. So if
please.
all she ever got was just those physical compliments, even from you,
right?
If all you ever told her was that,
right?
At some point, she's going to start thinking, is that the only way you see me? Do you not see me as do I not have value other than my looks? And whether they verbalize it or not, they're going to think it. They're going to feel at some point like, man, wow, there is more to me than just how I look.
Instead of just objectifying her.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that would be the word that I was going for.
Right.
And so I think that's where the balance comes into play. And I think we're yearning for that, believe it or not.
Okay, so the key word is balance more than,
Correct.
It's not a no-no, it's just there should be some other things.
Correct.
Or read what I wrote instead of just looking at my pic.
Correct.
Because maybe what I wrote will show you I may be intelligent, I may be witty, I may be authentic, those kinds of words. Is that what you're saying?
And it is possible to do that even on social media.
Of course.
Right? Social media comes with its own caveats, right? Like, you can't, as we were talking about before the show, guys, let me just PSA here. Gentlemen, you're almost never going to be able to come off well in a DM.
Message.
Like, if you're going to say something to a woman that you barely know on Facebook or on Instagram or whatever it is, do it publicly.
If you can't say it publicly, don't.
Do not slide in her DMs and tell her anything, because you're going to be the creeper at that point.
I think that even sounded creepy when you said slide in. That just sounded creepy.
Exactly, and that's how you need to start thinking about it. But I do believe, though, that there is a way to do it on social media, right? Because I comment. I'm doing my best to be as active as I can on social media. Right. And when I see somebody's, like, if they'll do a posting or something like that, I try to offer value. I try to see their value as well.
Yeah.
And their value is more than just what they look like. I think that, most people, they might put some pictures up or some selfies.
But you and I aren't single, Trinity. We're not.
No, we're not.
Come on, man. If we were single guys, we wouldn't be talking the same way in social media and posting the same things as we do now.
I would. I did.
Come on.
I actually
Trinity.
got crap for that, too.
No, you just said that when you were younger and more in shape and everything, your shape would mean a hell of a lot more to you if you were single. I'm allowed to be a little chubby right now.
Well, mine still does mean something to me as a professional, but what I was getting, I received them more, but I didn't put it out there more. My wife even made a comment about that when she first met me. It was like, I didn't put anything personal on my social media. I didn't, that was not the venue that I used to try to meet people.
But you also were not in the same position you are now. Whereas
Correct.
You're at WPSN99.com, you're on the
Nice
couch
plug.
live. Well, I mean, you have a persona that requires people to come, to know that you're
Sure.
accessible for help.
Sure. I think for me, being raised by a single mom, I've always had a certain amount of respect for women. And so I've always approached things slightly differently than a lot of my fellow gentlemen friends. So on social media, I never use it as a platform because I've never wanted to be that creepy guy. I've never wanted to be that. That's just not who I wanted to be. And so,
But wait a minute. You're not a creepy guy. I'm not saying that.
Sure.
But you are the guy that tells me this is the day to celebrate you coming out of your mom's uterus. That you are that
It's
guy.
funny.
I understand that,
It's
but
humorous.
what I'm saying is your humor does revolve around maybe some things that even mine. I don't post that kind of stuff,
Right.
and it's not that I can't laugh about it with you. It's
Right.
just we do have a different.
well, I think some of that's the age gap.
Okay, so you're saying because I'm old?
Yeah.
Well, we also just have a different group of people that are looking at our things. First of all, my mother and my father, I'm not doing that.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's not happening in
But
my
I've had that
circle.
relationship with my mom since I was a kid. Though.
Yeah.
So she's not.
I don't
really,
talk about my mom's uterus.
My mom's probably watching this at the moment, and I guarantee she's not surprised about pretty much anything that
No,
comes
she
out of
knows.
her mouth.
Well, she also worked in a jail system, so
That too.
you're not going to surprise that woman at all.
No. But no, I think that even for single people, like single people.
I'm talking about the DMs thing. I'm pretty sure I would be DMing some women if I were single.
You would be the creep.
Well, I don't know if I'd be creepy. I don't know.
No, you would
but,
be the creep. No matter what.
But I think
Even
I would.
if you try not to be, that's my point.
I think I'd find a way to, like you said, slide in there somehow. I mean, what do you want me to just?
That's my point. There really
I'm
is
not
no
going
way.
to be sending a junk pic.
There
I don't
really
think I
is-
ever would have done that.
I'm going to say for the art of the compliment, if you were to approach a woman in her DM, no matter what,
Stay out of it completely.
completely.
Do not DM a woman.
Unless she DMs you first, stay out of it completely. Because there is no way to come off not creepy.
Asking a woman if you can DM her is like saying, "Can I kiss you?"
Basically, yeah.
Those guys that used to ask, "Can I kiss you?" got more no's than
Yeah.
than I got.
Yes. So
You know what I mean?
way
I'm just saying.
the way you would go about, like the way I would go about it if I was single these days,
Right.
I would go about it much in the same way that I go about it now.
Then I'm glad I'm not saying.
But I would have a different, goal in mind, I guess. Right. Like right now, I'm just trying to offer value. That's my whole purpose.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just glad I'm not single then because I wouldn't know
Yeah,
how
same here.
to communicate.
but that's the thing is
'Cause I'd be swiping right and left like
well,
crazy.
the kids these days, they call it thirsty, right? They call it thirsty. And thirsty
Right.
meaning, the thirst is real.
Yeah.
When a chick will post,
I'm sure they like that chick
oh,
word.
dude, and I see it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm married. I don't care what they think. And my wife likes being called chick. So, no, I see it all the time. A woman will post anything, dude. She can post a picture of her paint drying in her bedroom,
Right.
and you'll instantly see the creeps come out.
Oh, yeah.
You'll come
True,
out and
true,
see like,
for real.
oh, such a beautiful wall for a beautiful
got
girl. It's like, oh my god, dude.
Well, they have to be more aware of what their image is.
Yes.
I think than men.
I agree.
A lot more conscious. Of
But
that.
to me, I think that's where the art of the compliment comes into play.
Right.
Was there's ways of acknowledging, somebody's value other than just their looks.
Right.
Because let's face it, if you're a girl in today's world, you've been complimented on your beauty since you were like 13. Like,
Unless you were ugly.
even then, dude, I guarantee you, trust me, even then.
I mean, you got to admit, Trinity, there's some people that really need it because they did
Sure.
not get it. There are people that just did not get it. So
I
maybe
agree.
now in their life, and I'm only saying this because as devil advocate,
Sure,
there's people
absolutely.
out there that were either for one reason or another not attractive to the other to other people, and then all of a sudden now in their life they have reached a point
The ugly
where
duckling
they're
syndrome?
working. Yeah, they're working
Right.
on themselves. They're working on their body, or they're working on
Absolutely.
they got a makeover or whatever it is, and now they feel very sexy or they feel very pretty, and they want you to notice.
No, I agree.
So what happens when you don't notice?
Well, I
because
think there's,
I've not complimented somebody very recently in the last 48 hours about losing weight that knows that I was complimenting my wife about losing weight. And that person was semi-offended that I didn't notice that they had lost 10 pounds.
Well, you can't do anything about that, man.
But that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is some people require it for them to feel that you actually they want you to notice that.
Well, funny you should say that.
Okay.
Because I put a poll up.
Yeah, let's talk about the poll because I think some of the people that answer that poll are full of shiza.
I think it's a very interesting poll, right? Because I've done multiple polls on my social media, as have we on the Couch Live.
Right.
And the thing I've noticed is typically the polls are somewhat balanced. You know, they lean more towards one way for sure. But you have a pretty decent amount on both sides, typically. For this particular poll that I put, my question was, which one would you rather be complimented on, your looks or your character?
It was so off balance. It's like watching Fox News or watching MSNBC.
90-something percent.
So off balance.
On both my Instagram post, or poll, whatever you call it, and my Facebook one, there was one person who voted for looks.
One
person.
One person. Was it an attractive person? Do you know the person? Can you tell who did it?
Yes, I can see who voted him.
Did you look?
Without
outing the person.
One person on the... Well, see, I don't know who can see that, so I'm not going to comment on that.
Well, don't out the person. Just, is it
I don't want to say that because I don't know if you can see, you know what I mean? If somebody else were to look at it, I don't know if they can see who voted what.
I guess
so. I don't want to do that, but everybody's beautiful in their own way, so...
Oh, jeez. See, now you sound like my father. My father used to do that, and he'd try to hook me up with
this is why he's
the
been
ugliest
of
ugly. And look, man, I'm just being realistic. I know that I'm not the most attractive person, but I know my level, right? But I also am real enough to say, look, sometimes we need to work a little bit more on it, and sometimes I'm being too casual about it, and I'm making myself ugly for my wife, and I shouldn't. I should be more attractive for her. Now I know I have daughters, so that bothers them. If I ever say anything about a woman, by the way, my daughters will just crucify me. They hate it. You know, you can't mention anything negative about women.
Okay, no joking. I literally got in trouble with my children over the weekend, and my children, I'm talking about the...
Did you get judgy?
The 6-year-old and the 8-year-old. No. Oh. Watch this. This is how safe my wife is. We went to my daughter's play.
Okay.
We're getting a little off topic here, but
I'm sorry.
I got to get it out.
I do it.
We went to my daughter's play. It was The Wizard of Oz.
I loved it, by the way. I love that costume.
That suit was amazing.
Yeah.
That was such a great surprise.
Yeah. But now I'm getting you off topic. Off topic.
So I was afterwards. We stopped at the gas station real quick for me to run in and grab a drink and come back out.
Right.
On my way out, there was somebody coming in. There was a lady coming in, and so I held the door open for her.
Right.
She walked in. I got in the truck, and I got into the truck in the middle of the conversation. My children were telling on me because I held the door open for a woman. So that's how safe.
Oh, I get that. They were.
Oh
no, I used to get that.
Yes, they were like, "Oh, he was opening the door."
Oh yeah, my kids used to do that when they were younger. They do that stuff. Now they kind of get it,
right?
But when they were younger, they thought everything was.
Oh yeah,
that woman liked Dad, Mom. That woman liked your husband.
Oh
no,
and my 13-year-old, we were at I was at a grocery store.
Yeah.
And a lady walked past. I was like, "Wow, she smelled like." It was like fantastic. It smelled like cotton candy or something.
Yeah.
And my 13-year-old was like, "Why are you smelling?" I was like, "What are you?" I could smell somebody, for God's sake. So yes, yes.
Well, maybe it's because you had your nose deep in her ear.
Wow.
That was different.
Anyways, that is not true, Angel. My point being with all this, the art of the compliment is, I think that there are ways of complimenting people that aren't looks based. I think there's a time and a place that's appropriate for it. Not to mention, I think there's relationships that need to be in place in order to give that. Like, in other words, I'm more apt to give a compliment like on somebody's physical beauty, if you will,
right,
if I know them more so than like some stranger I just came across.
Right.
Because I've already established a relationship with this individual.
Right.
They know me, and by this time they realize I'm not trying to hit on them. I'm not some creep or whatever. I'm just giving a genuine compliment. To whereas, some stranger, we don't know that. Right. And I don't know how that's going to affect that person, and I don't know how I'm going to come off.
Well, I know my wife gives me a huge compliment when she says that I notice something beautiful in anyone.
Right.
And I think it's true. I think I worked really hard in my life because my dad is really gifted at it naturally.
Right.
And I think by having a good role model, male role model, I learned to find something beautiful in every person.
It's good.
Now, that's not to say, like you're saying, that everybody's attractive, because I think there's always someone they're attractive to somebody. That I agree with.
Yeah.
But it's not always going to be to you, and that's okay.
Yeah,
that's
I agree.
quite all right.
I agree.
However, there is something very beautiful in every person.
I agree.
And the key is to find that thing that you admire in another person.
And I think that's what I'm kind of talking about.
Right.
Is to find somebody's value. And value isn't just physically based.
And I do like qualities better than looks, because looks fade. I mean, we're going to get old. Now, if you're dating that person or going to marry that person simply on looks, then you better keep making money. Because it takes a lot of money. And then have you seen what fake looks look like with money? Sometimes it doesn't look so good.
Not my personal taste, but yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, not my personal taste. Yeah.
But I think that's kind of what I try to do as well.
Find value.
I try to find value in a human being.
Okay.
And I do believe though that's. I think the poll was right, man.
No way.
I do.
I do. No way do all the... No. I think the poll is skewed by people thinking they know exactly what you're saying, Trinity, and they don't want to be viewed as a person that's superficial. But I think more... And this is why I'm being honest with you right now and saying what I'm saying about looks, because I think people are full of crap. I think that...
I disagree.
No, I think it's looks first for most people, regardless of what they say. No,
Okay, let me ask you a question then. Which means more? Somebody would have come up to you and notice, how genuine you are and how much you meant to so
I'm
many
not
people.
the normal person, Trinity.
But how do you know all those other people who voted on it weren't the same?
Because I've done this for a living for so long, so
Sure.
I'm hyper conscious. I'm spitting over here.
You're getting fired up, man.
I'm hyper aware of things like this because of what I've done for a living for the last 28 years. But Trinity, most people, have regular jobs where they're not focused on, other people's feelings and emotions for almost 30 years.
I'm not saying.
So I'm not. You even told me yourself, I'm not in the normal circle of people.
Sure.
That my vision is skewed based on.
Well, I don't think
the
either
world.
one of us are in the normal circle. However,
definitely,
I'm not saying that people don't like physical compliments on their looks. My question was, which one would you prefer? And I'm going to say that they take the looks for granted because that's all they get all the time. So I'm going to say the idea of getting a compliment on something that you bring value unique to you has more value at this point because they don't ever hear it.
Let me tell you something. If you'd have asked me this question in my 20s, I would have told you my looks, brother, because those are the compliments that I enjoy the most. However, what I did not know then that I do now is how good those other compliments actually feel.
And
I didn't know them. Trinity.
Maybe the people who voted on this.
It's now at 48 years old. Do I now know that those are the long-lasting, sustainable compliments?
And that's what I'm talking about. As I think that they truly do want those more. I think that they mean more. I
still like the other one.
I think I'd much rather have someone come tell me that I'm funny, that I'm attractive. I would much rather have that. I don't need that kind of validation. So it's strictly which one am I more proud of?
Because you're attractive, Trinity.
To some people. To some others not.
Well, to enough people that's not your insecurity is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I think that not all those people that answered your poll are that secure.
I don't know. Are you calling my listeners liars?
I'm just saying that I think more people, if they were to be honest with themselves, they would say, yes, that's important. Yes, that's nice. However, they absolutely like being complimented on their looks.
I didn't see that wasn't the question. The question wasn't, do you like it? The question was, do you prefer? Which one would you rather have?
Shit.
Would you rather have the physical one or one on your characteristics, or your character of who you are?
Mm-hmm.
And
it depends who it's from.
That right there, I think, is the caveat. You just hit on it.
Well, if there's a depends here, Trinity, it means that they're lying on that poll.
I think that the caveat to that is, and I think that's also what separates creepy from thank you.
Right.
Is how attractive, and that's the one little tidbit here.
Right.
Is and we talked about this on the Me Too show.
Yeah.
Is I think that's what the difference is. Where the whole lines are drawn, right? Like, two people go up to the same woman and say the exact same thing. One's a creep and one's not. Why? Because she was attracted to that one.
Exactly.
It's the same compliment. The difference is this one was attractive, and she was like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that to me. To the other guy, oh, you creep, get away from me.
I think there's 100% value in all the science and research that says what the person looks like is the first indication of what you're going to think, feel, and interact with that person. As much as everybody out there wants to feel they're 100% inclusive of other people and that they don't look at color and they don't look at looks and they accept people for who they are internally, you don't even get to that internal part most of the time unless that outer part is something that doesn't scare the crap out of you. Because there's some people out there that just have a look about them that just scare the crap out of you.
No, I agree.
And they don't smile, and they look real creepy, and they just stare at you. Haven't you ever been at a party where somebody just standing next to you, and then just stares at you, and they don't add anything to the conversation, and you feel like, what the hell am I supposed to talk about now? Because this guy's just staring at me.
I agree. I won't argue with that one. But I will say that I think that people, if they really are honest with themselves, I really do believe though that the compliments on who they are as a person mean more. Like, for instance, I'll just, because I know
I'm gonna go up to the next creep I see. I'm gonna say, you know what? I love how statuesque you are.
It's just a weird compliment.
What the hell am I supposed to say?
Well, here's a list. Actually,
they got to give me something.
Here's the list that Lexi posted. Right, it says, I'm gonna run through a few of them. I'm not gonna read all of them. It says you're empowering. I like your voice. You're strong. I think your beliefs.
Wait. I like your voice can be creepy too, though.
Depends on which context.
Okay, so
because I told you I like your. I think you got a great radio voice.
Okay, yeah, but you saying it and someone going, ooh, I like your voice.
Well, nobody says you have to put the creep in the tone there.
That's
you
what I'm saying.
Just be like,
the
hey, I like your voice.
The tone of the compliment changes the compliment.
Absolutely. Well, like you could do that with any of them. You're so understanding. You're so understanding. Yeah, of course. It's gonna freak anybody out.
I don't know what that was.
It's gonna freak anybody out.
That just sounds like you're about to make me look the other direction, and I'm not liking that at all. That sounded very creepy.
You matter to me. You're important, even if you don't think so. You're a very warm-hearted person.
Okay.
It's nice seeing such kindness. You're very down to earth. I think you mentioned
that's a really good one.
You mentioned one last week was somebody's vibe, or you got a good energy about you.
Yeah, you got a great energy about you.
I've actually said that to a lot of people.
Yeah, I think that's a great compliment.
I agree.
When people have a good energy, you should compliment their energy.
Yeah. But that's an example of, I think somebody would appreciate saying being told you have a great energy about you, than, oh, you look really pretty today. Yeah. I think they would appreciate that one more.
I agree with that.
And that's what I mean.
You're very easy to speak to.
That's what I mean, is I think that people really do appreciate the ones on their character more so than their looks. I really agree
Instead
with
of just
that.
saying you have a nice ass.
Thank you. But yes.
Is that what you're saying, though, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
All right.
Well, because once again, they get told that all the time, dude. Especially women in today's day and age. They're constantly told, you got a nice ass.
Well, if they're being told that, then stop saying it, guys. You can't go up to someone and just say that.
You would be surprised at some of the things I've seen. Like, there's a lot of women who, okay, so
the guy might do that on the DM, but he's not doing that in person.
Well, let's go ahead and, we're running out of time, so let's throw a couple of those out there.
Already?
Yeah, I know. I told you it was going to be a good one today. So I will say because I want to get to how to stop them if you don't want those ones.
Okay.
But the comments about the how do I put this? Putting out the calling people out on social media.
Right.
I think I have a problem with that. I understand behind it, I guess, sort of. Well, I understand what they're saying the intent is.
Yeah.
But I don't believe them that that's their intent. As far as why they're posting it.
What do you think their intent is?
Well, they say what their intent is to get it to stop and to call them out.
It's not going to stop.
But I don't think that's what their intent is. I think their intent is for intention. I think they just want a bunch of likes, and it's always an easy one to do. People are going to laugh at it and you make fun of somebody. But I don't like the idea of making fun of somebody because that person might genuinely just not know that, hey, this isn't appropriate or whatever. Because, I just don't like the idea of making fun of somebody, getting a bunch of attention at somebody else's expense. Granted, there are a few that I've seen where the person was like numerous times, hey, I'm in a relationship, leave me alone, this isn't cool, and then they keep doing it. Well, then at that point, I don't mind calling somebody out. That doesn't bother me as much.
Right.
It's the ones that are like, saw one the other day was like, hey, beautiful, which is always a horrible, guys, stop. Such a bad way to start out a DM with somebody you don't know. Hi, beautiful. And then, say, hey, I'm in a relationship. Don't talk to me like that. Whatever.
Right.
And they went back and forth. And the guy's like, "Okay, I'm sorry." And he left her alone.
Okay.
Why post that one? Like the guy, he maybe didn't know. He asked you a question. He swung and he missed.
Right.
It is what it is. Let it go.
Right.
Now the ones that are like, "Hey, beautiful," and then followed up again, like an hour and a half later, "Hey, sexy," and the girl hasn't responded yet, and then. And then inevitably, like 3 days later, start calling him all sorts of names and call him a hoe because they won't answer.
Oh, geez.
Call that dude out by all means. I don't care.
Yeah, that needs to be called out.
Yeah, you can call him out. Because I've done that with my wife. Actually, my wife had one where the guy he sent her a picture of him masturbating. Actually,
what?
Yeah, he sent a video. She has no clue who this dude.
Well, what?
Yes. He sent a video of himself masturbating.
I'm so missing out on these DMs, man.
Yes.
I mean. for the guys, don't send them to me. But I mean, I got to admit that if I was a single person
asking for some of
no,
those
no,
guys.
but if I was getting these kind of pictures, why wouldn't you find it funny and hilarious?
Yeah.
At least it's almost like a guy that's racist wearing a KKK outfit. I want to know who you are.
Right.
So if you're going to be that kind of creep, then come at me right away so I know who you are. So I don't waste any time liking any of your other pictures or communicating with you at all.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be a creep on the first meeting, so I know exactly who you are.
Well, so yeah, I mean,
That's how I feel.
The guy sent the video of himself doing that.
Oh my God, I can't.
And so
believe
I reposted that one, calling him out.
You
like,
reposted
well,
that?
not the video, but
No.
I reposted like a picture of his name. Like, this is what the guy sent.
Okay.
Because for those people, you're just an ass at that point. You weren't socially awkward and didn't know. You knew exactly what you were doing with that one. That was just a bit. Come on, dude. What are you doing?
And that's legal?
I don't know.
Oh man.
But anyways, so I guess we only have a few minutes left, so I'd like to get into the how do you stop it if you don't want them. I have my own views on this one. I think we kind of agree, though.
I'm still just shocked that you got the video. So go ahead, start.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you're never going to stop it completely, right?
Yeah.
As long as there's men out there who are have intent to get to have sex with somebody, essentially. They're gonna.
Well, that's kind of broad.
Well, it is broad. As long as there's men out there chasing women, they're going to send you stuff that you don't want. It's just law of averages. They're going to do it. You're never going to stop getting unwanted compliments. It's never going to happen. However, there are things I think that people can do to
Promote the other parts that you want complimented.
Exactly. It's attraction rather than promotion kind of a thing. I
Right.
would say. In other words, there's women that we both know, right? That.
Well, your wife's an artist. She's a painter.
She
If
is.
she had put up pictures of her, if she was single, and put up her artwork, that would be a way, right?
Correct. What I'm getting at is, and you're touching on it, what we're posting. So, for instance, there's women that we both know, we both have in common, that we probably wouldn't be shocked to hear that they get hit on everywhere they go. And people saying things to them that they probably don't want.
By the way they
Conduct
themselves?
themselves and everything else.
Right, okay.
But then there's other women that we would be shocked to hear that men are saying that to them because of the way they conduct themselves.
My
and the way
wife
they act.
never gets those kinds of compliments.
And I believe that because of the way
100%.
she conducts herself.
Ever.
Exactly. And so, on Facebook, when I see certain women posting scantily clad pictures or pictures of their cleavage or everything else,
Right.
I'm not shocked then at that point to hear that some men are sending them
Right.
Junk pics or whatever. I'm not saying I approve of it. I'm not saying it's right,
Right.
but I don't think it's hard to connect the dots on that one. To whereas my wife doesn't get a ton. Because if you see my wife posting,
Right.
a lot of times it's of me, of the
Right.
kids,
Right.
or of some meme that she thought was funny, or something along those lines.
You're kind of saying they're asking for it a little bit.
I'm not saying they're asking for it. I'm saying
Kinda.
there's steps we can take to present ourselves in a way where it's not appropriate to talk to me that way.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So it's not your fault, but at the same token, there are things that we can do to present ourselves in a way of people just know what's appropriate, what's not appropriate.
I agree with that.
So to me, I think that's one of the things we could do is we can put that out there. Make sure we understand what we're posting.
Right.
And I'm not telling you not to post stuff, ladies. By all means, if you want to post scandal, go for it. But don't be shocked at that point. Then when you start getting things in your
Are you asking for DMs?
I am not. I'm just saying, don't be shocked when you get those in
Right,
return.
right.
It's kind of like if I'm standing on a street
I
corner
agree with
and I'm
that.
dressed up as a police officer, I can't get mad if someone comes up to me asking me for directions
But
because I'm dressed like a cop.
Right.
Once again, I'm not saying I'm not agreeing with it. I don't think anybody should ever send pictures of themselves masturbating and things of that nature. It's insane to do that.
the only time that should be okay is if you're in Iraq and your wife is here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you guys are like far away, long distance relationship,
Well, your wife, not some person you just met or don't know.
you should never send it to someone who
Exactly.
you don't know, unless they're putting some money in some sort of account for you or something.
Right.
That sounds like a
Exactly.
a fee for service kind of deal.
So I would say those are some steps that they could do. And the other thing is when somebody does message you, I would say from them, I don't think men get a lot of those types of messages. So I guess at the moment I'm referring to women.
I missed out. I didn't get any.
I'm thinking, when you get those, okay, here we go. And I don't know if you've gotten this. Well, you said your wife doesn't get hit on, but my wife has gotten hit on.
Well, she doesn't
before.
have social media, but in person, no.
In person, even.
Oh no, they always it's the wifey material kind of hit on, like just nice.
Right.
Never.
Well, my wife has gotten people coming on to her, especially
Mm-hmm.
at her job and stuff like that. And when we early on in the relationship, not as much now,
Right.
especially at her job, they've all met me and they're afraid of me,
Right.
Rightfully so. But early on, she would ask me why is this person not? What do I say? And it was amazing because she was pretty straightforward, and they just didn't take no for an answer. They just kept kind of annoying her, you know. And so I was just telling her, you got to continue to be direct. Like, don't assume anything. Don't assume that they understand where you're coming from.
They don't.
Be direct. Be like, look, I am not interested in you. Please leave me alone.
Right.
You know, you have to be direct. You can't assume that they understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, save his life, because the next time I'm going to kill him.
Yeah, pretty much. So I think those are the two main things, is present yourself in a way to where, like you said, promote the stuff that you want to be complimented on.
Right.
Like, if you want to be complimented on your intelligence,
right,
then post intelligent stuff. Like, write something very intelligent. You know, talk about philosophy, talk about current events, something intelligent way, not polarizing. And then you're more likely to get people to acknowledge that and see that.
Yeah. But
if you post a bunch of pictures of you wearing like bathing suits and everything else, then that's probably what they're going to focus all their compliments on.
Right.
You know, so, and then so those are my two ways, I guess, of diffusing those situations.
Right. Is
conducting yourself in that type of a manner. Like, even for me, I don't get hit on as much as I used to, and I think part of that is because, you know, I'm married now, and I think I'm pretty open about that. Like, there's typically whenever certain conversations come up, even if somebody were to reach out to me on social media, I'll mention my wife in it just to make sure you understand, I guess.
I don't think me being married had anything to do with it, because all throughout my 20s and 30s it was very different. And I think a lot of it had to do is I had to take personal responsibility.
Sure.
And Dana and I talked a lot about this. I think I projected myself in a way. It's just the way I look. You know, there's a look about me that I look like a criminal. You know, I look like a problem sometimes. You know what I mean? There's just certain ways that I dress or hang out or whatever, or my style. And so people tend to think that I'm willing to do things that I'm not willing to do. So I had to work really hard, at least in the 40s, because I really got tired of people thinking that I would do that, because what I got tired of is cheating men telling me about their cheating behaviors and thinking I was going to be okay with it. Yeah. So I said, I must look like a cheater, because I have men that constantly think that I am a cheater. So I did not want them to think that I am like them, because I don't want your secret. If you're going to cheat, you go cheat on your relationship. Right. Keep me out of it. Yeah. So I've worked really hard to just try not to project anything that might look like that. But even I put my sunglasses on, a suit or whatever like that, and immediately people go, you look, I either look like a cop or I look like a drug dealer. It's just, it's my look, man. I shaved off everything. I have no more long hair. I have no more beard. I have no more earring. I don't wear any jewelry, and yet I still look like that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people come to me all the time, especially because of my look. But
yeah, but you worked on that look. You can't take off your tattoos.
Take off the tattoos. But I think the way I present myself, I think most people, having interacted with me even a little bit, can tell what they probably could or couldn't come to me about, as far as what I'm going to approve of. I've worked very hard on presenting that kind of a presence to people. Right. But I think that's kind of the route we have to go.
So I'm saying you have to work at it.
Yeah, I think we have to work on ourselves, obviously, in doing that. But I also think that we can work on ourselves as far as the compliments that we give to others. You know, if we want certain compliments towards us, we need to start doing that in return. So if we're tired of people complimenting on our looks only, or if we want to get those types of compliments towards us, we need to give them to others, right? And so instead of telling somebody, hey, you're pretty today or whatever, be like, oh wow, you have a great vibe or energy about you, things of that nature.
Right.
Even with kids, right? We do it all the time with kids.
Yeah.
Right. We're talking about, that's going to be a heartbreaker.
Right.
Wow, really? Like with my own kids, I make a point, especially with my daughter, but I do it with both of them. I make sure a point. Yes, I tell them they're pretty, of course. But I also tell them, you're smart.
Right.
Oh, I told my son the other day, I was like, hey man, you're pretty cool.
Yeah. But you're a dad.
Well, of course. But as parents, we can do that as well. Like we can teach our kids.
Like, I'm just saying that parents say different things naturally.
Well,
you're not trying to hit on your kids.
No, of course not. But what I'm saying is
I think what you're saying is, if you're trying to hit on a woman, find her characteristics attractive first, and you might get in the door.
Sure.
Is that what you're saying?
And if you're not trying to hit on a woman, you can
stick it to characteristics.
Still characteristics.
Stay to characteristics.
They mean a lot.
Yeah.
And we can start that even with our kids. What I was getting at with the kids is, I don't want my children to be focused only on looks and appearance, so I compliment them on other things. Mm-hmm. I don't want them to grow up having that kind of a perspective of, oh, that's how you compliment somebody.
Right.
So I do other things as well. Anyways, we're running out of time, so I got to do my 3 tips now.
Yeah.
So my 3 tips, guys.
3 tips.
3 tips. When it comes to the art of the compliment. The first one is, make sure your compliment is genuinely for that person. What I mean by that is, don't come in with a motive. Don't compliment somebody only because you're trying to sleep with that person or you're trying to get something from that person. Try to compliment that person strictly just to give that person a compliment and make them feel good for a few minutes. Give them that gift, if you will. Second one here is think of something unique about that person, right? So when it comes to looks, everybody's got looks. Everybody's got some good, some bad. We're attractive to others, but think of something unique to only that particular human being. In other words, their vibe, their I don't know, their humor, their artistic ability.
They're being authentic.
Yes, something genuine and authentic about that human being. And then finally, the third one is make sure whatever compliment you're about to give somebody, you be proud to say that compliment in front of anybody. That's the big one. Don't give somebody a compliment that you wouldn't say. Like us as married men, I would never give somebody a compliment that I wouldn't say in front of my wife.
Yeah, 100%.
Period.
By the way, can I give Marissa a compliment now, since I know she's listening and watching?
Absolutely.
Because I have some good ones for her, I think, that I always want to tell her.
She is extremely empowering.
I love her authenticity. I love her vulnerability. I love her strength.
Yes.
And I love her ability to just make other people feel really good and engaged. So it's just there's something really special about her, and I want her to know that as well.
Right on. And I second that.
Mm-hmm.
I love her honesty. Mm-hmm. I think she's like extremely unforgivingly honest.
That's what I'm saying. That vulnerability is just so awesome.
I think it's awesome. So that would be my 3 tips, kids, is make sure you compliment them. Make sure your intent isn't to get something in return. Your intent is just to give them a compliment. Make sure you find something unique about that individual, and don't compliment them, and don't compliment them with a compliment that you wouldn't say with everybody else. So having said that, now that you know better, do better. Peace.
I think he plans it all out. Just makes it up as he goes along.
Human knowledge belongs to the world.